Welcome back, YouTube. We're doing a video on Black White Hammer. We're not really doing an intro this time, as I'm trying that out. No outro either. So tell me if you like it, and like, comment, subscribe or follow the socials, and I'll see you all in the first game. We're getting into the first match of our little review here, and let's see how it went. So, we're playing Hammer. Good old fun Hammer stuff. And our first match is actually against one of our friends, Def Jad, which is fun. But they're on Amulet, as you can tell. They start off with definitely a weird looking start. Castle Garenberg tapped is always not the strongest thing in the entirety of the world when it comes to Titan, but our hand's like okay. We don't really have a hammer, but if we draw a hammer, we have a pretty good one. So I just run everything out here and kind of just hope that that happens. And of course, they do have the start here, I believe, of turn 2 Amulet, which is always scary, but I think this matchup is really good for the Hammer Time matchup. Like we're a very fast deck. We can get there pretty quickly, but so can Titan. Sometimes I don't know. I think especially pre-board we're favored. And I think this was a pretty obvious turn here. We just slammed not the Titan, the Pure Steel Paladin. And we're just gonna kind of hope. So I was thinking maybe we play Inkmoth Nexus to get the out of killing them with what was it, the Sigarda's Aid, but like just guaranteeing a turn 4 kill essentially is good enough. And if we draw a hammer off of our Pure Steel, then we can just win the game here. So they have a bounce land though, which is scary, but as is, they don't actually have the mana for it, so we are kind of okay here. But then they play an Azusa, which Azusa is pretty terrifying, right? Like we never really want to play against an Azusa, and this start is a little bit terrifying. Like Azusa plus bounce lands are really good, and then they also get a quick Titan out of this with Amulet on the battlefield as well. So it's definitely not great for us here, and they're floating the mana here, which is never a great sign. But and of course they have the Titan, so we still have outs here though. We have Inkmoth Nexus for next turn, so we still have a turn 4 kill set up even through Primeval Titan. Although we're probably more than likely not going to be able to get there because they are going to have the Hasted Titan 2 Valakits. When they get 2 Valakits, that kind of like tells you what they're going to be doing here. It doesn't actually, but they can get a Dryad as well the following turn regardless of what happens here. So we felt pretty much in the lock here. And considering they, let's see what they do here. I don't remember what 2 lands they get, but definitely, turn 3 Titan is pretty good on the play, right? I mean, it's the second fastest you can get a Titan out, but it's okay. It's okay. They get Vesuva Radiant Fountain, which Vesuva copies Valakut, which is not a great sign, right? When your Titan opponent has 3 Valakuts on the other side, it kind of like insinuates the idea that they have a Dryad over there, or at least they're planning on getting a Dryad the following turn. So we draw another Pure Steel. So this was like the first like big point of the game. Like, do we play this other Pure Steel out, or do we just play the Colossus Hammer, hope to draw the other one? And so I sat here for a little bit, and I ended up going with the line of playing out the Colossus Hammer because I think the best chance of us winning this game was to triple runner, go Colossus Hammer, what's it called? The Shadow Spear. Although even that was lethal, right? Because that is 21 trample on here. They block that. That's 19, 20, 22 damage. So that's kind of what I was going for. But I'm not terribly certain. I could totally see playing out the other Pure Steel, but like there are 2 big draws with this Colossus Hammer that we have. You have another Colossus Hammer, which would be decent because that saves a bunch of our creatures from their Valakuts, or 2, the Shadow Spear, which could like maybe buy us some time, right? So that was like the first big decision here on whether to play out the other Pure Steel. And I think just like we're kind of in like this shitty situation where I think we kind of have to go with the Colossus Hammer play here. And I mean, I think it's better, even if we weren't in this position, I think I'd still do this. There's definitely a chance where you don't want to do it, but I'm not really particularly certain about this. So we just equip this Ornithopter. We go into combat here and make them jump block. Or I guess they don't have the jump block. Apologies. And then we just equip our Sentinel, so we at least get to draw here. We could have played the Springleaf Drum, tapped our Sentinel, but I don't think it's, like, again, we're either winning or losing this turn, it doesn't really matter. And Summoner's Pact, I just concede because that goes to get, what is it? It gets Dryad, and Dryad, they attack us, that is, yeah, that's a little bit of lethal. And if they don't have a land drop, maybe I should have waited, but they just, all they have to do is get Dryad here, get a bounce land and something else. So then that is, you know, what's 9 times 2, 18, and then they have another land drop. So definitely lethal here. So that was kind of shitty. And yeah, we're on to sideboard here. So for the sideboard plan, oops, went a little fast there. Sideboard plan, I decided to take out the Ingenious Smiths for Thought Seizes, and that was it. And yeah, I mean, we just did Ingenious Smiths for Thought Seizes, and then we took out our 1 Soul Guide Lantern for a Path to Exile. So that was our clean sideboard plan here. Although I do think maybe taking out the Sentinels might be correct in this matchup, but we kind of need our 1-drops. But I wasn't actually certain about that. And then, of course, like, we kind of get into this, like, shitty situation again here where, you know, we have the Sentinel draw, which is, like, this hand's definitely a keep in my eyes, but it's definitely a little bit awkward. Like, we get to go turn 1 Sentinel or Springleaf Drum, but, like, Sentinel is just better here. So we decided to go with the Sentinel on turn 1 here. And I think they mulligan here to 6. I might be mistaken. We'll see what happened here. See if our buddy mulliganed or not. They were taking a little bit. Alright, let's see. They did not mulligan. Okay, so turn 1 here, as you guys got a little sneak peek of, it is an Arboreal Grazer, which, you know, not the best start, but definitely a little awkward against our Inkmoth Nexuses, or Nexi, so it's a little bit awkward, but it's fine. So turn 2 here, I think it's a pretty simple, just dump our hand out here, and we get to play everything. Maybe we should have attacked with the Esper Sentinel for whatever reason. I'm not, like, particularly certain it matters, but at least give them the chump check, right? Sometimes you get a free point, and that free point can matter sometimes, so. And, like, playing out the Mem Knight, having an untapped Esper Sentinel doesn't matter either way. Does not matter either way. But as you can see, they're in the tank here, which was, like, a little awkward, and, like, we kind of knew what this meant. We knew it meant a Force of Vigor. Not many other things, like really give off this, like, why are they in the tank? What are they thinking about here? So we were kind of expecting the Force of Vigor, and they end up firing it off. They take out our Springleaf Drum and Urza Saga, which is, you know, I think the correct targets. Not actually 100% sold on that, but. And then their hand was Dryad, Titan, and I think just to play it safe, I wanted to take the Titan there. But then they do have a Dryad, and they top decked an Urza Saga, which felt really bad, right? Like, that was probably one of their best draws. So we were kind of in a weird position here. And our hand's, like, god-awful. And then we just draw another land, which is not particularly strong. I ended up playing the Inkmoth Nexus just so, like, I can attack with it next turn. And that was, like, the main reason. But again, we were definitely not in a good spot here. Like, as you can tell, we have nothing going on. Really, the Urza Saga was really important here. I'm actually, one thing I was a little bit surprised about here was they didn't make a construct and then replay Urza Saga or something like that. I feel like that would have been a fine play, but they just kind of went for a bounce land, which, like, is also reasonable. Second Inkmoth was, you know, so I actually didn't think this was a good draw, but it's actually, like, a fine draw, right? Because if we, as is our hand, like, if we go, let's say we get two more turns here, which, you know, not completely, like, guaranteed, but, like, somewhat reasonable, right? If we get 2 more turns, we have 2 Inkmoth Nexuses. We can attack with both. The reach on the Boreal Grazer can block one. Let's say we draw a hammer, we get to kill him with the other one. So I was, like, not terribly sad about that, but our turn was pretty scripted here. Just Bylurus, pass. No real reason to attack. We could have, like, tried to, like, juke attack them, but, like, what's that really getting us? Nothing. So I just decided that it's okay. We don't need it. So they just make a construct, which is okay. We are fine with it. And yeah, I mean, we have Aluris, they have nothing. I mean, They have a Saga which can go get, Amulet, maybe an Expedition map. Not actually certain what they were going to go get. Kind of made sense that they, I believe they got the Expedition map. Let's see. I'm not sure if it was Amulet or the Expedition map, but let's see what they got here. They got Expedition map, which makes sense, right? That can find a Titan. That could get you another Saga. I was a little bit surprised by the play this turn, where, I don't know. I feel like if I get Expedition map, I would pop it immediately and just play Saga. But so with this attack, I chump block with the Mem Knight because we're gonna have to play Luris next turn, and saving 3 life might be important. But here, let's see. I just feel like you should pop the Expedition map. They play an Amulet, which, like, what does that do? Nothing. I'm surprised they didn't just pop the Expedition map and, do something with it. Like, just even getting a Saga seems better than doing that. But I mean, I was very happy with that. So, I played the Inkmoth Nexus here. It does make our turn slightly awkward, right? Where we can't really play the Sentinel, although we do have a Springleaf Drum. So if you want to play the Snow-Covered Plains here, the benefit is you get to play Mem Knight and the Esper Sentinel, whereas this play is better if you top deck the Hammer. So I end up going with the Mem Knight here. Maybe it's better just to play Sentinel. I'm not actually certain. I just kind of like having a chump blocker, especially with the 2 4/4s. We're already dead to a top deck Titan anyways. Summoner's Pack, us drawing 2 off of it wouldn't be relevant. So I kind of just went with the higher upside play of, like, more life. Like this Amulet of Vigor, whatever, that we don't have to make them pay 2 extra mana for it. Does not matter, right? What is that really getting us? Nothing. But this jump block here with the Mem Knight does gain us 5 life. I did consider double blocking the Dryad here, but we do lose our Luris, and then, like, we literally have nothing. So I didn't think it was a reasonable block in any sense. So plus we get to gain 3 on the crackback, so it's kind of like we're net 1 life here. Shadow Spear was also, like, a fine draw, and, like, I was really excited about Shadow Spear here because that meant that we could actually play the Esper Sentinel out of the yard here, play Esper Sentinel out of our hand, and then we could quad or triple block the Dryad next turn with an Inkmoth Nexus and Esper Sentinel, or with both Esper Sentinels, and equip the Shadow Spear at instant speed, kind of get them, like, juked out here, and that would be, a free kill. So I was really excited about that draw. But then things, I think, start spiraling a little bit poorly. They're in the tank here, which, when you draw something here, you don't just, like, go into the tank for no reason, right? So we were definitely a little bit afraid here when they were in the tank. And they're cracking Expedition map, which is never a good sign, like, ever, when you're up against Titan. So they go get Valakut, which it's like, oh god. Oh man. And I believe, what else did they have? A Vesuva, which was like, I was like, that was like, come on. That was like the best draw in their deck for sure, right? I mean, not actually. The best draw in their deck. That's the best land drop in their deck. So I was like, well, shit. I think we're going to lose this one. I mean, double Valakut's pretty hard to beat, especially when you're a creature deck. So, not the best situation here. They go to attacks here, and I kind of tank about this one for a little bit, but I ended up going with the, let's see what I end up doing here. Like, this is definitely an awkward situation because we kind of won our creature, but I think we need to block here. And so we ended up just, like, slamming the Shadow Spear out in instant speed just to gain 2 life. Which I don't know if this was a wrong play or not. I feel like this was incorrect, but again, I'm not actually certain. I feel like this is wrong, but I don't know. And then we draw Stoneforge Mystic, which was cracked, like, insanely good. Such a good draw. So we play it out. We have a free equip with a Shadow Spear here because, we still have the 1 mana up for the Colossus Hammer. So we go snatch our hammer. We equip the Shadow Spear because why not? It's free. And we pass our turn here. We pass the turn. Oops. So any land drop is terrifying. Any Titan is game over. There are plenty of bad things that happen here. Plenty of bad things that not that happen that could happen here. So they're definitely thinking here, and like I mean, again, that's never a good sign, right? Never a good sign. So I feel like we were dead here for sure, but they just go straight to attacks, and I had to think about this one for a while. So I thought maybe I am supposed to block a construct here and just gain some life, and then go for Inkmoth Nexus kill, but they had reach, so that was like that was not the correct play. I was thinking, okay, what if I just don't block, and then that's us dead to any land drop? So that was wrong. So I was like, okay, then I guess that we have to block the Dryad here, but then we have the question of whether or not we're supposed to kill the Dryad. And that was even harder for me to answer, because that is like a really big problem. See, like we were like really contemplating what the heck to block, but I think I ended up saying that it's Dryad, and I was just like really terrified that they drew a Force of Vigor here, because if we go block Dryad, they go Force of Vigor, our Shadow Spirit, and our Colossus Hammer, then we lose the game. And like I was just like really in the really in the tank about this decision. So I do end up, let's see if I can, let's see if we get there. Do end up going with the Dryad though. That is the block I end up going with. Let's see if I, as you can tell, I was like deep in the tank about this. Like I'm typically a really fast player, but I was really concerned about this. So yeah, I end up going with the block here. And then I was just like, do I Colossus Hammer? My intuition said yes in the beginning, and then I started thinking about why would they make this attack? Why would they think so long? And I was like, maybe they have Force of Vigor. But then I thought, am I going to ever beat a Force of Vigor anyways? And I said no. So I just went with the Colossus Hammer play here. I think getting Dryad off the battlefield is a big game. And we just, like, sometimes you just got to play as if you can't beat. I mean, like, we can't beat Force of Vigor here, right? So we might as well as just slam and hope to God that they don't have a Force of Vigor, because we lose to a Force of Vigor like 110%. And like, as you can still tell, I was like so concerned about that. But I mean, I think this is the correct play. I think it's the only play. And yeah, we kill their Dryad and we gain a bunch of life, which is nice. And then they just had a Arboreal Grazer. So after all of that, I felt really shitty about the situation. We drew Pure Steel, which was really good. And I definitely misplayed here. I went to go Inkmoth, and I was like, oh, I can't kill them, right? So I'll just swing with Stoneforge Mystic. 100% still should have swung with Inkmoth Nexus here, because that's actually a 2-turn clock, whereas swinging with Stoneforge Mystic is not, because they can block, 4 of the damage here, or they can block 6 of the damage, so they take 4 Infect, and then next turn I can fly over with Inkmoth Nexus. So I definitely misplayed here, which felt bad, giving them potentially a second draw step, which we would lose to, like a Titan, or I don't know. But there are plenty of draws, right, where this plague punishes us pretty badly. And fortunately, I don't believe they top decked anything this turn. And we felt pretty decent about this situation once they passed the turn here. But they actually just conceded. They weren't actually dead there, so I'm not actually certain why they conceded. We just misplayed, which was really bad. So yeah, let's get into game 3. So, you know, we I think let's see what they do with their keep here, with their keep or mole. Oh, actually, I guess I didn't remember that I did this. After that game, I ended up taking out my Esper Sentinels here. I didn't think the Esper Sentinels were very good here after that game, and I thought that Indigenous Smith was better, because in that game specifically, that game went really long, and us not finding a hammer was like the whole entire game, right? So I ended up doing that, and yeah, that was like essentially what I think I should do. Again, I'm very new with this deck, so I don't know much when it comes to exactly how to sideboard perfectly, but I do think against Titan, you probably don't want the Esper Sentinels. I think on the play it might be okay, but I don't know. I don't think they're particularly terribly strong. And our opener was pretty good. I mean, like, this hand's not bad, right? We can go turn 1, Springleaf Drum, Memnite. I thought this hand was pretty decent, right? Like, we also have a Sigarda's Aid, but I don't know. This hand's definitely risky, right? We lose to a Force of Vigor so hard. So that's like something kind of spooky about this hand, but I'm kind of like I ended up mulliganing, but I felt like that was a keep afterwards. But this hand was definitely better, and this hand I didn't know what to bottom. So like I kind of wanted to bottom the Springleaf Drum, but then I'm like I don't know if that's right because we need Metalcraft for Pure Steel. So then I was like, okay, what if I bottom Saga? Saga is like okay, but then I was like, well, maybe if we just bottom a land will be okay. I knew what I wasn't bottoming was the Stoneforge Mystic, the Pure Steel Paladin, and the Shadow Spear. Maybe it should have been Shadow Spear though, realistically. And like I really did think about this, but I mean, I ended up I think making the correct play here and bottoming a land. Like you essentially have land drops in this deck. Opponent doesn't have removal spells. Then we draw the second Springleaf Drums. We're like, shit, that's not the best draw in the world, but you know, it is what it is. So then, you know, opponent goes Amulet, scary. Simic Growth Chamber, scary. These are all terrifying things. But they just pass here, which, you know, I felt pretty fantastic about. Concealed Courtyard was a good draw. So I was going to just go Stoneforge Mystic, but then I drew that and I was like, well, let's just go Pure Steel here, right? Like Pure Steel just seems great. Draw a card. Next turn we get to attack with a 13 Nuggum, gain 13. Seems fantastic. We get to draw a card here too. There's a chance that we could draw a hammer and just win the game as well. So I felt like playing Pure Steel here was like only upside. They're not a deck that has removal spells anyways, so like again, what are they gonna do? I'm not actually certain what they're gonna do about this. The only downside about that play is we don't get Urza Saga on the battlefield, which does feel kind of shitty, but if they had a Force of Vigor, that could have been really bad. Like, we play Force of Vigor with the trigger on the stack, they kill our Urza Saga and Springleaf Drum, so that was something you had to be concerned about, but again, we got a little bit fortunate here. Our Pure Steel hit the battlefield. And they had second Amulet, which this is, that's always scary. Like, when the Amulet player goes, here you go, like, 2 Amulets, go. Like, that's terrifying. And then we draw Inkmoth Nexus, which is like kind of insane. So like we can kill them next turn pretty much regardless, but we still wanted to go for this Colossus Hammer route because like if we draw another hammer, they were dead. And then of course we get the meme Stoneforge Mystic, the meme, and but we do go up to 30 here, which is pretty fantastic. Pretty fantastic here. Play the Inkmoth, play the drum here, say go, and yeah, cross your fingers we don't die. And I think they're in the tank for a while here. Yeah, I'm gonna skip a little bit ahead. They were in the tank for a while. They play a Simic Growth Chamber here, which, let it be said, this is not the best thing in the world for you when your opponent's leading off on Simic Growth Chamber. They packed, which I'm like, all right, how dead are we? And like we're friends, so I was like, okay, we get Titan out. I'm kind of terrified, and I wanted to ask. I was like, okay, do you play? What is it called? The Colossus. I don't know what the Colossus is called, but the Colossus where you put a land on the battlefield, draw a card, keep doing that. I wanted to ask them if they were running that, but I didn't want to tell them mid-pack because I would have been so dead here. They got a Teleria West and a Simic Growth Chamber, which are both, I thought they were going to go get what is it? I don't even know, the Colossus. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. The XX or the Star Colossus. And I was like going to say, oh, do you have that? But I think if they actually got the Colossus here, we might have been dead. Although I'm not sure how much mana they had. So like, as you can see, they have 6 floating. Then they play in a Grazer, which is pretty good. And that allows them to pact for another Titan or the Colossus. Cultivator Colossus, that's the name. So I didn't want to tell them, I didn't want to ask them now because I thought I died the Cultivator Colossus because, I mean, that would just be like brutal, but they ended up like, you know, thinking for a while on this Summoners Pact, and I think they don't end up getting Cultivator Colossus. Yeah, they packed for a while here. And it's still on the stack. It was they were in the tank for a while this game. All right, so they got the prime time. Yeah, that's what it was. But I think if they got Colossus, because they did say that they had Colossus afterwards. I think if they got Colossus, we might have lost this game. But they get another Primeval Titan, and then they do the whole bounce land shenanigans again. And let's see what they get again. Let's see if they can triple Titan us. And like maybe I wasn't terribly scared at this point, especially with 2 Summoners packs over there. I was like, how the heck do we lose this game? Because we're at 30 life, and I'm not certain if they can deal 30 damage. And like if they're not killing us this turn, they have to pay for both Summoners packs next turn, and we can just kill them with Inkmoth Nexus. So, I mean, not next turn, but in 2 sequential turns we could kill them because we have what? We can get another hammer that's 22. I mean, that's just more than lethal. Plus we do have 2 Springleaf Drums. So we actually could kill them, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. No, we probably couldn't kill them, right? I think we are 1 mana shy of killing them because we need 2 for the Stoneforge Mystic, 1 for the Colossus Hammer, and 3 essentially for the Inkmoth. So that's 2, 1, 3, which is 6, and we don't have 6 mana. Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, we did have 6 mana. Maybe I'm just counting wrong. Again, I'm not an expert with this deck. First time playing it. Or, yeah, first time ever playing this deck. But, you know, I was just feeling like getting some good wins here. They get another Summoners Pack. They Summoners Pack again. Now, this is where it gets funny. I was like, alright, they get Foundation Breaker. I'm like, alright, they can kill our Colossus Hammer. But I don't know if anyone was keeping up, but they played 3 Summoners Packs, and they only have 8 mana over there. Yeah, and I noticed, like, as you can tell, I'm just like, wait, what? I'm just like, what the hell just happened? Because they packed it 3 times, and, like, they can't... Yeah, so I messaged him. I don't know if, as you guys can't see, but I messaged my friend, because this is a friend, as I said, and I said, how are you going to pay for 3 packs? And he just said, oh shit, lol. And, yeah, I mean... So, yeah, I mean... yeah, like, it didn't matter what we did here, but, like, we play a Stoneforge Mystic, we go get a hammer, we pretty much just, like, do the shits and giggles here. Get a hammer, play the hammer. Then we drew, I think, a Path here, and Path probably would have won us the game here, especially with a Trampler out. So I ended up just, like, equipping it to the Stoneforge Mystic. Well, I did go with the Pure Steel at first, but then I was like, wait, no, this is wrong. We want to equip with something afterwards. So we just equipped everything to the Stoneforge Mystic and went to attacks. I mean, they would have had to make some really heads-up blocks to not lose this game to a Path here. Like, really heads-up blocks. They'd have to, like, essentially, what? Double block with 2 Titans? Or, yeah, no, they would have had to block with 2 Titans there, so... But anyways, we take that match down, which is against Titan, and I think it's a good matchup, but felt good to start the league off 1-0, the deck off 1-0, so I'll see you on match number 2. Alright, we're here for match number 2, and as you can tell, our hand looks, you know, pretty good here. You know, it's a turn 1 Springleaf Drum, Ornithopter, Sigarda's Aids hand, which, you know, this is kind of what we're going for. Like, can't say no to this, so I keep it. As you know, as I should, I believe. So our opponent didn't reveal a companion, which is good. We're on the play, which is good, and our hand is good. So we're happy. We have a way to equip hammer. We have a hammer. That's really, I think, all you need in this deck. So we start off with the plains here. I think it's, doesn't really matter here. You could go with Silent Clearing, but just, painful free mana base is great. Play our Ornithopter out. Play the other one out. I didn't play the second Ornithopter out. I think I should have, but, you know, I don't think it terribly matters. If they have a burn spell here, like a Bolt, it's a Punisher, but I think playing out the second Ornithopter is correct, but I didn't really want to, because I was like, I don't know, I'm afraid of like double Bolt or something, but they can't do that on turn 1, so wasn't really certain why I didn't play out the other Ornithopter, but, it happens. It happens. Our opponent goes Steam Vents, which feels bad. They go on a Holy Heat, which this is like the reason to play out the other Ornithopter, because then we get to actually nug in with the Stoneforge Mystic, but we did not get to do that because we are, we're bad at this game and we messed up. So we get a hammer, and now we don't mess around this time. Okay, this time we just do this now, play the hammer, equip it. They're on a blue-red deck. I don't really know how they can kill a hammered up creature. Like, it would have to be like Brazen Borrower or something like that, but even that seems really unrealistic. They go with the DRC, which I'm like, Delio, count me in, and Bloodstained Mire, which was kind of scary. They go Swamp, and I'm like, oh god. I like, you always go to like worst possible when you're playing, right? And I'm just like, oh shit, they have a Fatal Push. I'm screwed. I'm just so dead because, Fatal Push. I'm just going to lose this game now. And, see how it goes. They didn't also reveal Lurrus, which I wanted to talk about because they actually did put the Lurrus in the bin here, which I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. So this is a main deck Lurrus deck. And then, we get punished here for not running out our other Ornithopter against the Thoughtseize, but I don't know. I kind of like sandbagging Ornithopter, but I don't play this deck very often, so I could be completely wrong with that. Could be the wrong play here. Our opponent, I think, just passes with Delirium up. Yeah. Do they even bobble us? No, they don't. Draw Memnite. So we just go to attacks here. Swing at this, the Ornithopter. No reason to attack with both here. They just get a free block on the Stoneforge Mystic, I think. And then we just could lose to some number of cards here. Play out our Ornithopter. Learn from our mistakes here. Buy Lurrus. And feel pretty decent about this whole situation here. We have Lurrus plus buying back Ornithopters, which feels good. We're pretty decent against these red-black decks. Once you actually have an equipped creature, you're pretty much like guaranteed to win, I feel like. It's like I've been on the opposite side on this Grixis like Lurrus deck. Obviously I'm not playing their list, but you have very few outs. You have like K Command, you have Terminate, and that's really about it. If you're running Fatal Push, which some people are currently, which, it's a fine card, but this is right here. We don't give a shit about Ragavan. Like, whatever. Cool. Count me in. Play as many Ragavans as you want. So we just go to combat here. No reason to play out Lurrus yet. They might have who knows what they could have. But I think we get a little punished here by our play here. I was thinking, oh, what are they going to have? I thought they were just going to chump block our Ornithopter here. Then they go with a smart play here. They kill our Stoneforge Mystic and fetch. And of course, they have blue-black up. So, this is kind of terrifying, right? We can't really beat this. I mean, we're thinking Drown the Lock, right? So we play around it. We just play our Memnite and pass the turn. Although, I think in hindsight, maybe just playing out the Lurrus is fine. If they Drown Lock our Lurrus, they aren't killing the Ornithopter, and that feels pretty good for us. So, I think I should have just played out Lurrus, and they do have the Drown. Like, I think playing out Lurrus is correct, right? No real reason to do what we did. This was just kind of stupid, right? They get to kill our creature, and we don't have a board. So, we do have a board. We have 2 1/1s, and they are at 3, so it's something, right? Memnite OP. A 0-drop 1/1. OP. They get an Unearth, which is, with a Lurrus in the bin, is kind of spooky. Draw another Memnite. Hey, can't say no. We run out our Lurrus here. I was just going to play an Ornithopter, but then I was like, okay, might as well swing, right? We get a free Memnite. Memnite is slightly better in this position. Like, they're going to be at 1. We'll have 3 lethal attackers. Or they'll be at 2, and then, we have lethal on board here. Although they do have the the unearth, so we don't actually have lethal here, but because that can get Luris, and Luris can start doing some busted stuff. So I felt pretty bad in this situation. Like, it felt like we were probably gonna lose from here. Hard to beat Luris, even though like we have a Luris, but we get Hammer next turn, so like it's kind of like pretty good. And then they just get back Wandering Mine, and I was like, what the, like, I guess this was their best line, right? They kind of have to kill Luris here because we just get Stoneforge Mystic back, and that means another Hammer. But like, I don't know. That felt really weird. But they just concede. Like, we have lethal on board even without that. We have we have our 3 Mem Knights, which is kind of funny that's winning us the game. But yeah. All right. Against Red Black, what do we want? Sanctum Fires, Prismatic Endings. Easy as that. Don't want paths. Take out the Ornithopters. Not all of them. I leave one in. I take out some number of Springleaf Drums. And I think I trim on this Mishra's Bauble. I haven't been terribly impressed with that card in this deck. I was kind of curious why people weren't running it in the deck, and then I kind of realized why. But as for the reasoning behind, why do we bin back the, what are they? We put back, oh my god, I can't think now. Why we put back Ornithopters is because, they're a little fragile. Hand, pretty good. I ended up putting back the Pure Steel Paladin here. Indigenous Smith is looking pretty decent in this hand. Esper Sentinel, obviously a good card. Sigarda's Aid, amazing. So I felt pretty decent about this hand. Concealed Courtyard makes me feel a little bit worse about putting back the Pure Steel, but, it is what it is. It doesn't matter. Indigenous Smith's probably, like, worse than Pure Steel, but, again, whatever. We'll be okay. So, they're holding up 2 mana here. DRC's kind of spooky, but, we play out our Urza Saga, hopefully get this online. I play the Indigenous Smith over Sigarda's Aid Shadow Spear, but maybe I should have. We get a Soul Guide Lantern, which is pretty awesome, especially against DRC, stuff like that. Feels pretty good. Opponent fetches, which, whatever, who cares? They can fetch all they want. They get the Steam Vents, and I think they go with an Unholy Heat. Trading 1-for-1 with Esper Sentinel we're up mana in the exchange. It feels pretty okay. We still have a Soul Guide Lantern, which is also pretty good, but yeah. We're looking pretty decent here. We have a pretty good hand. We have an Urza Saga on the field. Like, we're feeling great. They don't even have Delirium online yet. So I felt good about this position. And even the Moth Nexus is pretty good here. So I think, yeah, we lead off on Soul Guide Lantern, see what happens here. Because Soul Guide Lantern's pretty good. I think it's also our least important spell, so I wanted to lead on that against, the Drown Lock deck. And they drown it, which, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have had I don't think I would have had the hindsight or heads-upness to exile our Esper Sentinel to play around Drown. Because, I don't know, I just thought that'd be strange, but, it is what it is. And then this attack's really shitty. Don't attack here. I attacked here. This doesn't make any sense. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get him with a block, and then I'll flash in Shadow Spear. No, just don't do that. That's just bad. Not really important. Like, that's not the game we're playing here. So I definitely make a mistake here. And then I go instep, flash in the Shadow Spear. Nope. No, I didn't. I thought I did for some reason. Guess not. But then we draw Colossus Hammer. I think I should have just not made a construct here, because we could have. I don't know why I made a construct here. It doesn't really make sense. We could have just, floated a mana, got a hammer. They probably would have tried to kill it with something. I don't know why they did this. They Unholy Heated now instead of waiting for us to equip with something. So I was like, all right, count me in. Like, I don't care, really. Like, you should have waited for us to equip to it. I wouldn't have equipped to the Indigenous Smith to begin with, but I do think it was a little heinous of them to, do that right then. So we're like, all right, whatever. We have our Colossus Hammer. We have another Colossus Hammer in hand. We have Shadow Spear. We feel pretty decent about this game. Feeling pretty good. So, see what they do. Fetch out islands. And play a Wandering Mine. This really, I don't even know what to say. I'm going to say shitty card to have. I would not be playing this in any deck. Especially a deck with Lurrus as a potential companion, but I don't know. That's interesting. And then they get an Unearth, which is kind of cute. But I think something someone would fall a trap into here. That I don't know if I'm like, oh, I'm a savant with this deck. I know everything. But playing out the Shadow Spear there seems really bad. Or the Colossus Hammer. We want to be able to fire up this Inkmoth Nexus and, equip both at instant speed. So that's really the reason we did this, but felt good. Felt good. We got rewarded big time by this Pure Steel Paladin. But we're back and we are looking all good. We equip the Shadow Spear, we draw a card. Pure Steel Paladin, nutso draw, right? Allows us just to draw a lot of cards, play around some stuff. We have 2 threats now, which are going to be huge. And, yeah. Interesting. We just go to combat here. We'll equip this Colossus Hammer and take the dub. Take the dub, or so we think. They go to fetch. We're a little bit afraid. I don't really know what this could be. That's like super punishing for like what we did here, but we'll see what happens. They go with the Fatal Push, which not very common. I don't know why they didn't push in response to the Shadow Spear. Allows us to not have Metalcraft. I mean, we still have. I mean, I guess actually we have the Inkmoth on the battlefield, so maybe that makes sense. We just play this other hammer out. We get our massive Paladin online. The 23 lifelinker with trample. So yeah, I guess a way we could lose this game is to a second fatal push. So that's something we were a little bit afraid of. But we do know they have an Unearth in hand, which is not particularly that strong. And yeah, we're feeling pretty good in the hood. This Mistress Bauble is a little bit scary. It allows them to get Delirium. So that is the reason we could lose this game. And then like with the Unearth in hand and a Wandering Mind in the bin, we're like, well, we might lose. They bobble us, which is, spooky. They go to attacks, which is fine. Surprising they didn't attack with the Wandering Mind. I mean, doesn't really matter. And then they just don't even Unearth. And I was like, what the hell? I don't really understand. I don't know what outs they were looking for. Not sure what card they were looking for, but maybe they needed 4 mana. And we take it down. We're 2-0. So that was feeling good. That's our first 2 games. They went pretty... The first match was a little hard, but second match felt easy. So I'll see you all in the third. Alrighty, we're here back for the third match, and we're looking at, a fine hand. I think this is a keep, especially since we are up against a Lurrus deck, so we're seeing how it goes. Obviously, lead on turn 1 Springleaf Drum, pretty easy turn 1 play, nothing too much about it. Yeah, so we're looking good. Then they play Rage Reverge Thicket, which, I don't really know what that means, but... into Esper Sentinel, so I'm a little confused what's going on, but again, we're in a fine spot here. We have a Indigenous Smith here, which is pretty darn good, and it whiffs, so maybe not. And we were thinking about playing Shadow Spear, but I just didn't. I didn't want to let them draw a card, so, it is what it is. Maybe I should have, maybe I shouldn't have, but, we don't really want them drawing cards, and now they play Bushland, and we finally get, it's Hardened Scales, right? At least that's what my impression is. Or maybe it's some weird artifact creature synergy deck. So, yeah. I don't really know, but here we are. Yeah, cool. So we're into, match here. I think we make a misplay here, which is with the Indigenous Smith here. We go in for an attack, which doesn't make any sense, right? We definitely want to be playing Pure Steel Paladin out here. We get 2 draws, and like, I don't know, as you can even tell here, I go to tap, and I'm like, oh shit. I effed up. So I was like, well, alright, whatever. Looks like we're making an Urza Saga token, and that's our plan. I sit here for a second, I'm like, well, that was really stupid, right? No reason to do that. We should have just played Pure Steel Paladin and played our Shadow Spear. Next turn, we have Urza Saga coming off. That is a, what is it? The Colossus Hammer. We have a Shadow Spear. We're going to have a massive Indigenous Smith. It's going to be a 13-13 Trampler and Lifelink. Feels great. So we should have done that, but, we misplay, but we got to make the best play after that, which I do believe is just making a token here. Their battlefield is getting a little scary with Steel Overseer giving out, 4 power worth of, tough or 4 power worth of counters. And we're still looking pretty decent though. We still have an Urza Saga with it's just kind of nutty. With Pure Steel Paladin, we're looking pretty good here. We have 2 threats. I mean, we're feeling pretty great about this game. We top deck a Stoneforge, which is a pretty good draw. Another hammer, so that's something at the very least. But with our Saga, we get a hammer, we float mana. No reason to make a construct here. We just play out our Pure Steel Paladin. We play out our Shadow Spear, which maybe I should play out the Stoneforge Mystic here. Actually, I'm not very certain here, but I think I want to gain some life here because this deck is a little bit scary when it comes to pressuring your life total. And I was a little bit concerned that we might lose this game because, you never know with Hardened Scales. They could play a Hardened Scales out, play an Arcbound Worker, and then, or not Arcbound Worker, Arcbound Ravager, and just sack everything and deal bucos amounts of damage. But we don't allow them to draw, or we don't pay to not let them draw, which I think is a mistake here. But it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because we're still just going to be gaining 14 life, and it's still going to be pretty hard to lose. We're going to have a 14/14 life linker, and then we're going to play something on defense here. We're probably going to play out this Indigenous Smith or Stoneforge Mystic, doesn't really matter. And we're going to have another huge life linker on defense. So we're essentially like at 40-something life here, which feels pretty good against the deck that needs to get lethal essentially on the ground. Zabaz does give us some pressure in the air, but their battlefield's not terribly concerning at this point. And if they want to double block this Indigenous Smith, what are they going to do? Gain or kill it with Hangerback Walker and something else, which that would be fantastic for us. So we're feeling very, very good. They don't even block, which was great, and that means we'll just play our Indigenous Smith out here. We do make a misclick, and I apologize. We make a misclick here. I'm not used to this card. I just press OK, and then I press OK again, and I'm like, oh well. There goes our Ornithopter. I don't know if you even saw it flash by, but there went our Ornithopter. Just zipped on by. Which, I was a little bit concerned that we might lose this game now because if we had that flyer and honestly a third blocker, I would have felt really, really, really good. I mean, we're already at 33 life. We're already super good in this position. But Ancient Stirrings was kind of terrifying. And then they get Arcbound Ravager, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I thought we were going to lose this game for sure, because Arcbound Ravager is terrifying, especially with Zabaz, potentially with something else in hand. With Hangerback Walker, with Steel Overseer, these are cards you don't want to mess around with. Arcbound Ravager it's a terrifying card. So we're just kind of praying at this point that they don't have a way to kill us. They can also sack with Arcbound Ravager, which is really important to deny us that life link. So instead of being at essentially 45 life, we're at 33, which again is still really high, but it's kind of important that they have a chance here. But they play out their Arcbound Ravager, which, as we said, scary, scary, scary card. And I think they go in the tank for a second here. As we are I'm counting in my head, am I dead anyway? And I'm I start counting a little bit, and I'm just I don't care enough to count. I don't think it's close enough to win, but maybe there's a chance. I'm looking over. I'm maybe it's 25 damage at the most. I highly doubt that. I mean, if we want to count now, which I don't even want to do that now, but Hangerback Walker essentially could get 4 toughness by activating Steel Overseer, which is 5 counters for Arcbound Ravager, which they didn't even do that. I don't know why they didn't do that with Steel Overseer. And then Zabaz has 3 counters on it, so that's modular 3. I don't know. They kind of need to keep. I'm not doing the math. The math, it might work. I don't know. It's too much for my head. I'm not a Hardened Scales aficionado. I'm not a player of Hardened Scales, nor am I really a player of Hammer Time. But I wasn't terribly concerned. And when they pass, I'm just okay, this game's so over. We're getting another hammer. We're getting a third hammer. We're getting all the hammers. It's hammer time, as they say. it's GG. Like there's no way they have enough toughness to survive this. We essentially have 3 hammers on the battlefield at this point because we have another Stoneforge Mystic. This thing's going to be huge. We're if they I don't know. I just felt like over the moon about this game. Play the stupid Stoneforge Mystic. They can draw a card off of Esper Sentinel, whatever. You got us. You have got it. So we just play the hammer out. They get to draw, whatever. Fine with me. And then we get quads. We get quad hammers, I believe. I believe we got quad hammers, right? Yeah, we did. So we got the whatever. We got the dream creature, right? We got 4 hammers. We got the 43/43 life linking trampler. They make us do all of it too, which I'm just like, I don't know. You're dead, right? I didn't even look at it. I'm like 43 toughness, you don't have that. So, or I guess they only need 35, but they don't have 35. So, or what 43? They need 38 toughness, which they didn't have. So we swing in, we take it down. That game was pretty much a joke. Like we drew pretty damn well. It wasn't really that our deck was that good. I just drew insanely well. Like that just kind of happened. For the sideboard here, we wanted to bring in the Prismatic Endings of Path, all removal spells, which I kind of liked here. And then I didn't really know what I was supposed to take out in this matchup. Like I kind of feel like, I mean, obviously Soul Guide Lantern I don't think is very good. Esper Sentinel seems weak, but like I don't even know. In these matchups, sometimes those cards can draw you quite a few because there are quite a few non-creature spells in our deck. And in their deck, like they have Ancient Stirrings, Hardened Scales, the Uzalith, like there's quite a few. But I think it's just bad. We brought in the Thoughtseize for it. And then I was looking at the deck, I was like, I'll trim 1 Ornithopter for a Thoughtseize. We'll go 2 Thoughtseizes here. Thoughtseize is pretty decent against them. Maybe you can snipe a key threat here, like Arcbound Ravager. That's really all we're looking for, so we're feeling decent. Our starting hand's a little sketchy, but we have fast mana, we have an Urza Saga. I think with Anacranial Plating, like I think this is a hand you're willing to keep against Hardened Scales. Against some other decks, maybe not, but Hardened Scales typically is a little bit of a slower deck, a little slow grindy deck, and like this is pretty grindy. Allows us to get a hammer, allows us to get a Shadow Spear if we want, allows us to get a massive Saga token. We have an Indigenous Smith, like we're feeling pretty decent about this hand. So fast mana is always important, I think, in these matchups. Reason why Mox Opal got banned, right? The card was cracked, and we essentially have a Mox Opal for 1 mana. So 1 mana Mox Opal is pretty good, right? But yeah, like I don't even like. I'm just imagining now. What if that was a freaking Mox Opal? Like we just get to go turn 1 Cranial Plating here. So we lead off on turn 1 Saga because we have the mana here. But I was just thinking about Mox Opal stuff, which stupid card. But we play out our Springleaf Drum, play out all of our artifacts here. We just go Ornithopter, Memnite, Shadow Spear, and there's essentially 4 spells. Go. They Nature's Claim our Urza Saga, which felt horrible. Not gonna lie. Felt bad, but again, we're still cramming on this board. We still have a 2-for-1 Indigenous Smith. We have a Cranial Plating. Like that felt pretty bad, but I'm not gonna. I mean, we're not gonna not play Urza Saga on turn 1. If they have that Nature's Claim, they're gonna get us anyways. So it is what it is. Stoneforge Mystic, great draw here, but I think Indigenous Smith is still best here. We just want to play it out, get our card advantage on. Plus, like with Stoneforge Mystic, we don't really have we don't have enough equipment to get to begin with, other than Cranial Plating. But like we still have Colossus Hammer, but Colossus Hammer really isn't that good here. Like we don't have a way to equip. We're kind of in this grind sesh right now. We kind of want to beat down somehow with our shitty 1/1 and 2/2 creatures. So that's kind of what our game plan is here. It's not the best game plan in the world, but we also have a Cranial Plating, which is a pretty good card. Arcbound Ravager, scary, but like they don't really have that many artifacts. We're not terribly concerned here. Inkmoth Nexus, good draw. We kind of just want to, play out the Cranial Plating here. I think I wanted to consider playing out Stoneforge Mystic, but I think Cranial Plating is the best move here. Allows us to actually get like essentially another threat on the battlefield. It makes all of our creatures into threats. And Stoneforge Mystic, again, as we said, all it gets is, you know, Colossus Hammer. Colossus Hammer does jack shit at this point. Like, we don't have a whatchamacallit, we don't have a Pure Steel Paladin, we don't have a Stone or a Sigarda's Aid. We don't really have anything for it, so it feels bad, but you know, whatever. We'll swing in with our Indigenous Smith. Like, if they want to trade their Ink Moth, their Esper Sentinel, and their Arcbound Ravager for our Indigenous Smith, fine with me. Count me in. I'd be fine with that. I mean, they don't have to trade all of that. They essentially just have to trade... No, they would have to trade all of that. I mean, there's no way in hell they're doing that. So it's a free attack, free 3 points. I mean, the only bad part is they can potentially swing on the crackback here. But, again, I'm not too concerned about that. And then they play a Walking Ballista for 2. And I'm like, oh, shit. That's a good one. That one is spooky, especially on this board. Like, we're in trouble here. We're in trouble. But second Indigenous Smith was pretty darn good. Not gonna lie. Pretty darn good. A lot better than Stoneforge Mystic on this board. And then we're looking at our hand here, or these options. And again, Colossus Hammer, we have a way of finding it. Springleaf Drum's just better. Like, I think that's the only real card that we have here. Allows us to grow our Indigenous Smith, cast this, they get to draw a card, whatever. We'll grow our Indigenous Smiths and equip the Cranial Plating and bash here. So, we're looking pretty decent here. The Ballista and the Arcbound Ravager, though, is a combo, as we call it. The combo. So that is a little bit terrifying. But I still think we're in an okay spot here. As is, it's like not... I don't know who's really ahead because their board state is scary, but our board state's also scary with a Shadow Spear and a Cranial Plating. So I was feeling pretty decent about this position. Like, we're not like ahead, we're not behind, and our deck is definitely more powerful, I would say, than Hardened Scales. So I felt good in that sense. But again, you never know. You never know with these decks. So our opponents was just, you know, they're just vibing. They have an Arcbound Ravager. Essentially have a 4/4 Ballista, which is, you know, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Not gonna lie, it's pretty good. Let's see what they slam here. Oh yeah, this was devastating, right? They get the Prismatic Ending, which felt pretty bad for Indigenous Smith. Like, I'm surprised they didn't take out the Cranial Plating or the Shadow Spear. I remember thinking that. I was like, why take out the Indigenous Smith? I don't really understand that. Like, the problems aren't the creatures. I mean, you have that answered with a Ballista. So I didn't really understand that whole, like, oh, let's take out the Indigenous Smith when you have I mean, look at this follow-up. They can have they can have a 6/6 Ballista. Like, what? Who cares? No one, like, what? Like, just take out the Cranial Plating and have a 6/6 Ballista, and, like, I'm not beating that in, like, in a million years, realistically. I mean, I could, but, like, it's gonna be hard. But we'll see. So they just swing in, which, you know, it's a fine attack. I'm not gonna say it's a bad attack, but they, funnily enough, they do sacrifice their Inkmoth Nexus, which I thought was super bizarre. I don't think I would have sacked a Inkmoth Nexus there, but... You know, it's only 1 extra point of damage. It's not terribly relevant. And they sacked the Hangerback Walker. I felt like this was a little bit of a loose play. Maybe our opponent's not particularly, you know, strong with this deck. Maybe they're a little bit new, but that felt like pretty weak for me. At least in my eyes, but... So we draw a Mistress Ball, which is actually a pretty good draw. Like, as is, pretty decent draw. I think I mess up this turn, though. Like, I will say... I am fairly new with this deck as well. I think I messed up here. I don't know. I felt like I did not play this game particularly well, but, you know, it is what it is. They have a 7/7 Ballista. As we were saying, this thing is huge. I don't know why they just didn't Prismatic Ending our Cranial Plating and just have a 7/7 Ballista. Bizarre to me. Bizarre. But they kill the Indigenous Smith in response. You know, makes sense. You don't really want a free counter getting on that. Crazy to me. We bobble them. We see what did we see on top? A pretty decent one, right? Zawaz. Like, nothing. A little scary. Equip the Memnite. I think this is where I messed up. I think I should have equipped the Ornithopter with everything here. Like, equip it with Shadow Spear, equip it with Cranial Plating, or just the Shadow Spear or something to get in. But equipping Cranial Plating here doesn't really do too much. They kill that Memnite for whatever reason. I don't know why you wouldn't just kill the one that's equipped. Again, I felt like the opponent was a little bit of a weird player, but um, I don't. Yeah, like if you're killing that one, no reason to kill the other one, right? I don't know. I thought that was weird. Play our Stoneforge Mystic out, which pretty good card, and we get a hammer, which is our only option here, and we play it out. So I think playing it out though is bad. Like we have plenty of reasons to hold it, right? We have Sigarda's Aid and Pure Steel Paladin. Again, this whole turn was a shit show. I don't think it was my strongest turn, but and then we draw the Sigarda's Aid. Punishment, right? Getting punished for it. As you see, like even I was like, oh shit, I highlighted the Colossus Hammer. Like that was just bad. No reason to play out the Colossus Hammer. Actually, zero reason, right? The only reason typically you want to do that is against hand hate, against removal spells, maybe against the time when you want to play out the hammer before something else is if it's weird scenarios, right? It's definitely weird scenarios. It's not always, oh, we want to play it out then. Like the reason to play out the hammer is if we were thinking we're top decking a Pure Steel Paladin, right? Because we have Walking Ballista on the battlefield, so we want to get around the Walking Ballista. See, that makes sense. But at that point, we might as well hold because we have enough mana to do it anyways. So we just completely butchered that turn. Urza Saga, cracked draw. We're so good, totally just insane at this game. Equip the Ornithopter with the oh no, I did did Stoneforge Mystic. Thought I did Ornithopter for some reason. No, they killed the Ornithopter. That's what they did. Or they killed the Stoneforge Mystic. Okay, so I went for the equip. Makes sense. I mean, it's fine. We're waiting for them to kill it, and we'll just float a mana and then equip the Ornithopter. Feel pretty good about this game. And I also here was in a contemplate, like I was thinking about whether or not we're supposed to tap our Ornithopter here to play the 8 out. But I was a little bit concerned about like randomly losing to this Walking Ballista. So I decided not to. But I think I should have because, Ornithopter, it's not really saving me that much damage in the long run. So I thought this was just like a kind of a bad play. But again, it's okay. It's okay. It's nice to have the Saga, or not the Saga, the Sigarda's Aid on the battlefield with the Saga on the field. It's not like I have some, oh, if we draw a hammer. Like, that's not really a punishing case because if we draw a hammer, we're winning the game. So, the real punishing case is the fact that, like, we had a free opportunity, it feels like, to get it down. Because, I mean, we're not blocking with this Ornithopter. Like, they can just swing with the Sabaz, and, like, we're not blocking here, so we kind of wasted a free mana. So, a little bit inefficient, but, again, we're new with the deck, so I think this is, like, good learning experience for us. And, holding the Aid, maybe there's some relevance. And we draw a good one. A Prismatic Ending's pretty good. Pretty darn good here. So, I don't know what we were supposed to ending. I was thinking about one of the ballistas, but then I just thought Hardened Scales is the best one because they did buy Luris last turn, so we were kind of concerned about Luris coming down and just like winning the game for them. Or did they buy it? No, they didn't buy Luris last turn. Apologies. I think they buy it the next turn. Again, and like here we got like this is the reason. Like I don't know why I didn't even like play the Sigarda's Aid out. I even knew the Urza Saga was coming off, and like this was just like so bad because like now if we get a hammer, like it doesn't even equip. Like such a bad play here. So like I think it's more reasonable this turn because we are a little bit on the cusp of 9 here. They do have 4-7 damage on board. It's a little bit of a scare. So, I mean, I guess they did buy Luris. Why do I think they didn't buy Luris? They did buy Luris last turn. They play it out. They play out this Esper Sentinel. I mean, it's okay. As long as they didn't draw a land for the Arcbound Ravager, we should be fine. Because that's the only scary card in the bin. But, again, it's okay. It's okay. We get to play make an Urza Saga token here. And, of course, we sided out the Soul Guide Lantern, which would have been pretty good here, right? Just snipe out the Arcbound Ravager, and we're probably winning this board state. But Again, we shouldn't have even been here because we should have had the Sargardus 8 on the battlefield. And we should have equipped our whatever, our Ornithopter with it. Like, I don't know why. Springleaf Drum, meh, it's okay. It's fine. And then with this Urza Saga, what are we finding here? I'm not particularly certain what we're supposed to find. I found a Memnite. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I just wanted more mana and not to tap everything, so I'm not sure if it was. I got an Ornithopter. Doesn't really matter. We got a creature, right? Like, I didn't know if this was the right play, but I decided that I thought it was like a Vine line, just getting Ornithopter. And I think we just equip so with 9 artifacts on the battlefield, we just equip the Colossus Hammer to the Ornithopter and force them to cash in both Ballistas. What I should have done, actually, is probably played this other Springleaf Drum to force the issue, because if they wanted to, they could have just ballisted down this Ornithopter on the right, and then we would have been 1 off of lethal here. And then maybe they have a chance of winning the game with Arcbound Ravager, Zabaz stuff. Who knows? But I don't end up doing that. I just end up tapping, equipping, and they end up just killing this Ornithopter, I believe, instead of the one on the right, and kind of not going for the riskier line. Which, I mean, I kind of feel like going for the riskier line's better, although it does cut them off of white mana, which, is kind of relevant with Zabaz. So, like, I don't really know. I feel like maybe them killing the Ornithopter on the right is correct. And I was kind of confused on what they should do. But, as I said, I believe they killed the one on the left here, which does make sense. I mean, I can kind of understand, you don't really want to be at 1. Like, let's be honest. Like, especially with 2 9/9s on the battlefield, it's looking a little scary to be at 1, right? I mean, it's kind of scary to be at 10 with 2 9/9s on the battlefield, but 1, we also have a bunch of threats. We have a flyer. Like, I don't know if being at 1's particularly the strongest thing in the world, but who knows? Who knows? So, I feel like I don't remember what they do here at all. Let's see what they do. Hardened Scales, which was kind of spooky, and I don't know. I think they should play out the Ballista here as a 1/1 and just snipe down our Ornithopter. Not sure if that's what they do, because they are pretty much dead if they don't. They are pretty much dead if they don't do that, but they're already in a bad spot to begin with. Let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Okay, they play Arcbound Ravager, which is fine, because they do have Zabaz giving flying. So it's like, I kind of get it. It's reasonable. But they punt here. Or not really punt, but they're dead here. They're dead 6 ways to Sunday. Like, I could do pretty much anything here and they're dead. Does not matter. Like, we can equip the Inkmoth Nexus with everything and kill them with Infect. We can kill them with Ornithopter. Like, it doesn't really matter. What I end up doing, I think, is the worst play of them all, because I think it's the riskiest play, because I didn't actually count. I didn't do math here. But what I end up doing is equipping the Construct with the Shadow Spear and Cranial Plating, which I should have just killed them in the air, because, yeah, like, they would have been dead and, like, whatever. But I go with the boneheaded play here of going with the Construct, because why not? I was like, you know what? Let's just be safe here. Let's just not die to something weird with lifelink. So I was like, let's gain a boatload of life here instead of actually just killing them. Which, I mean, this is how people win games, by opponents messing up like this. And if I didn't count. So essentially, just don't do this. Don't do the bad thing. And I let them draw 2 cards, which, let's say it was Force of Vigor. I don't know if that's in their deck. We could have lost. Like, if it was Force of Vigor green card, we would have gotten wrecked, right? Like, that's so bad. And then, like, I don't know. I don't really know. I just feel like this is a bad play all around. We should have just killed them with Infect or Ornithopter Flying. That doesn't matter how we kill them. Either one's fine. They're both reasonable lines. They both win the game. But we end up doing this. And we swing with both because, I mean, you might as well swing with both. Like, it's kind of like what you need to do. Like, I guess, I mean, it's a free block for them anyway, but maybe I should have held back. I'm not actually certain. But I feel like attacking with both is fine. But, I mean, as I said, it is a free block for them, so maybe it's not even worth attacking, just holding back one just in case. We're already playing this conservative, weird, bad line to begin with. So we should have done it. And, yeah. I mean, we ended up getting there because I believe we ended up getting there. Maybe we don't. Let's see. Let's see. Our opponent starts to do some math. They start sacking all of their stuff here. And it has to be a 10, or no, it has to be an 11-11 for them to survive. And then, like, at this point, we're winning the game because they're sacrificing their entire board. And, like, that's pretty great for us. Yeah, it ends up being only a 10-10 anyways, and they're exactly dead anyways. So we're so good. We totally calculated that and made them going through all these steps for no reason because we're an asshole. No, we're just playing dumb, and we should have, we should have just killed them. So yeah. But anyways, that's the game. We're on to match number 4. So yeah, I'll see you all there. All right, we're here for match number 4. My throat is dying currently. That's great. We have a great hand, though. Look at this. Beautiful looking hand. We have, Esper Sentinel. We have, I mean, this is like what you play Hammer for, right? Like, this hand's, it's nice. So, play out our Esper Sentinel. We're on the play, too, which is fantastic. Our opponent, I forgot what they showed us. I think it was a Yorion. I don't see where it says that. Yeah, I believe their companion was Yorion. Actually, I can look at the, no, they have 72 cards in deck. So yes, we play out our Sigarda's Aid, we play out the Springleaf Drum, I believe, and we should have hammered here. I don't know why I didn't. I'm dumb. I don't know why. I'm thinking, oh, Inkmoth Nexus kill. Yay, that's going to be fun. No, just don't be stupid. Play out your hammer when you have the chance, especially against a blue deck. And I'm just like, oh, I'll be sneaky. Play out the Shadow Spear. I don't know. That's a great play, Zach. No, I mean, it doesn't matter. I think we should have just played out the Colossus Hammer when we had the chance. Doesn't, I guess, I mean, we'll see what happens here, but another Inkmoth Nexus, pretty good. And we find the one that's newly controlled because Magic Online is a great format, or a great platform, and it's super easy to tell, not really. So we activate our Inkmoth Nexus and we go for the kill with a Esper Sentinel for the draw, which is great. And we play out our hammer here. And let's see what our opponent does. Bum, bum. Let's see what they do. They Solitude. That's what they do. They kill our Esper Sentinel? Yes, they kill our Esper Sentinel. And we're like, all right. I mean, I still have lethal. Lol, here's lethal, maybe. They fetch and they punish us, right? They get down the. Actually, it's funny because I think holding the Colossus Hammer was better in this situation, but I don't think you should hold the Colossus Hammer. I think that is just a bad play overall. It ended up being better here, I believe, but definitely not the smartest play in the whole world. But it is what it is. Ornithopter, pretty decent one. Allows us to play out the Soul Guide Lantern and buy our Luris, which feels pretty good. So that's what we did. Exiled their counterspell. They might be a Snapcaster Mage deck. Who knows? You never know with these types of decks, right? We buy Luris past the turn. Just whatever. Here you go, opponent. Hand it on a silver platter. Giving you this game because our hand was so good and now we're losing. They go with an Archmage's Charm, and I'm like, why did they not hold that? That's so good against our deck. If they would have stole our Sigarda's Aid, holy shit, I would have been in trouble. But they didn't do it, which I felt pretty good about. And then they Spreading Seas our White Source. Yeah, we can't cast our Luris. Felt bad, but it is what it is. Indigenous Smith, a pretty good one. Pretty darn good one. So yeah, we just play it out. It's the best thing that we can do. We hold up Inkmoth Nexus because we might want to attack them You never know what we want to do. Play our indigenous Smith out. Let's see what they do with it. They probably just let it resolve because, not terribly important, but they counterspell it. Fine with me. We crack our Soul Guide Lantern, and we find a good one. Colossus Hammer. Our boy. Our boy Colossus Hammer. The big hammer. We were feeling pretty good about this. Maybe we can get the Inkmoth beats in. Maybe they'll tap out here for a Jace the Mind Sculptor or something like that. Not actually tap out, but I was thinking maybe they tap out here and we get to kill them. And they slam Teferi, our favorite Planeswalker of all time. Just kidding. I hate this card. Which, alright, we're probably going to lose this game, but we're going to go for it next turn, and if we get there, we get there. If we don't, whatever. I feel like I played the game bad if we lose this game, because I mean, yeah, but there's no not going for it here. Whatever. If they have a counterspell or a Solitude, we lose. It's okay. Shit happens. We go for the Inkmoth Nexus. We go for the Colossus Hammer, and sadly, we win. Bang, bang. Just kidding. Giving you guys the juice. No, of course we win. We got lucky. Whatever. All right. 4 Thoughtseize, snap in. I was curious if we want Prismatic Ending or Void Mirror. I don't think Void Mirror is a very, very, niche situation. It's for Solitude pitches. Not good enough in a million years. Prismatic Ending, I mean, I don't know what hate they could have, but I don't know. I ended up just siding out some Ornithopters here, some Springleaf Drums, and just calling it a day. I mean, I think this is a fine sideboard plan. I'm not particularly sold that Thoughtseize or Prismatic Ending are great cards in the matchup. I mean, I think Thoughtseize is good. I don't know about Prismatic Ending though, so that's really what I was more confused about. But anyways, we're here for game 2. We are on the draw. Sad, I mean, it's not sad, but look at our hand. Our hand looks beautiful. This hand is very slow, but double Urza Saga, Inkmoth Nexus, Cranial Plating, count me in. This hand is really good. We have a card that makes any of our threats potent. We have a card that has card advantage. We have 2 lands, which are, a 3-for-1s. We draw a Springleaf Drum, which is great. We have a Cranial. We also have a Inkmoth. This hand's perfect. There's no and ifs or buts. This hand is so good. So good. So, I mean, they're playing a Snow deck, which I thought was a little weird. I didn't even really notice that. But then they Spreading Seas me, and I was a little afraid to run out this Saga, but, I'm not running out the Saga here. If they have another Spreading Seas, we get absolutely boned on, but, we're going to have to fight through it at some point. And if they don't have it, feels great. Feels fantastic. They have Mystic Gate, they go to tap, and I'm like, oh shit. Wall of Omens, thank freaking God. Who cares about a Wall of Omens? I don't care. And then, Urza Saga, trigger. We end up making a token here because, we're smart. I thought about it for a second. I'm like, oh, I can't play my Esper Sentinel and make a Saga token. Wait a moment. I have a Springleaf Drum. Totally, boneheaded. Play out our Esper Sentinel, feeling good. Our hand is cracked. We're getting a hammer next turn. We have a Pure Steel Paladin. Yeah, we're here. This is the start. This is the game plan, fellas or ladies and gentlemen. This is our game plan. Yeah, they buy Yorion. Who cares? Great. Count me in. I ended up floating a mana here, I believe, because we want to just, we want to force the chump block here with hammer plus Pure Steel, plus cranial. No, it's Pure Steel, Cranial Plating, and Colossus Hammer. It's pretty good. It's a pretty good combo. Not gonna lie. It's pretty good stuff. So yeah, we do that. I believe. Let's see. Yeah, we get the Colossus Hammer. We play out our Pure Steel Paladin, and we sandbag our land drop here because I don't think it matters. We have 1 mana floating, but what are we gonna do? Not much. We start off by obviously equipping Hammer because it's a little bit harder. It's more mana to equip. We could have been smart and equipped via 1 mana because we had the 1 mana floating anyways. We could have done that. No, it didn't really matter. So we forced the chump block here. Obviously, we're scared of some wrath effects, but I mean, most of our stuff we got for free anyways. A Cranial Plating's good on the battlefield. the Esper Sentinel is gonna draw a card here if they do anything. And the Pure Steel Paladin, I mean, we'd only really get 1-for-1s, like, essentially. And then we also have an Urza Saga coming down here. So, like, what really happens with a board wipe? Not much. We have the tempo here, they have to tap out, and, like, we're feeling pretty darn good about the situation. Like, it'll suck if we get verdicted, but, you know, it is what it is. And then, like, you know, what if they don't verdict? They die. It happens, right? We could be there. But, you know, they of course they have it, you know, whatever. Who cares? Verdict's verdict, as we said. Draw Thoughtseize. Damn good card. Pretty excited about that one. And then I think we just run back the same play here, essentially. We kind of, you know, do our cutesy play of Thoughtseize and then make a token, play Esper Sentinel. Again, if we get verdicted again, we would know about it. But here, I didn't know what I was supposed to take. So, I think I should have taken Deluge here, but I took Yorion. I'm not actually certain if that's right. So the thing I was concerned about with Yorion is they get to flicker the Spreading Seas, kill our Urza Saga, and like that's pretty shitty for us. And they draw a card and they have a blocker, and we don't really have a way to beat the Yorion in combat. But I don't really know what I was supposed to take. And I don't think it's Verdict, because like if they want a Verdict, whatever, that's fine with me. But also, taking Deluge is kind of like it feels like it's the same thing as taking Yorion. Both of them are 2-for-1s, actually, but one's a lot worse. So I think taking Yorion's the correct choice. It's kind of close because Deluge can find some pretty good stuff. But I wasn't actually certain. I think Yorion's the correct take, but Deluge I think is a close second. But in hindsight, talking through it, I think you definitely take Yorion there. Like it is just too much. Like as we said, we were talking about tempo here, and like we've essentially, you know, people talk about it in like chess terms. You know, we've been putting them in check forever. We've put them in check every freaking turn. Like they have to deal with our shit now. Like whatever. I don't want them to have Yorion and then we're behind. We don't have any board state. We don't have a creature. We don't have, you know, our land that can get us more, you know, tempo essentially. And like, what are they doing? Tapping out for a 4-mana instant on their turn? And what are they going to do? Answer one of our threats? Like, whatever. Deal. Count me in. Sure. Whatever. It's okay. We'll be fine. So, remember the Deluge? You know, they have 3 mystery cards at this point. So, I mean, they could come out of this. You never know. It could just be like, okay, we draw Solitude, Ephemerate, Verdict, blah. You're dead. Like, but, you know, again, we didn't play around the last game. All right, they have a Prismatic Ending. Who cares? That is, like, the last thing we care about. And then we draw Pure Steel Paladin. Sometimes you just draw well. Like, that obviously was the best card in our entire 75 to draw. Like, that card is insane. Like, that just essentially puts them on Solitude or Bust on the spot. Like, do you have it? We get a Memnite here because, you know, we want the mana. Maybe getting Hammer is better. I'm not actually certain. I don't think it really matters, but yeah, we just play out the Pure Steel here. And we start by equipping the Pure Steel with the Hammer because, you know, that's the game plan. But they concede. I mean, they're dead to it. So we're 4-0 with our first ever. Here, hold up. Let me go back here. It's the ending. We're 4-0, first time playing this deck, and let's see if we get the 5-0. I would be pretty hyped. I would be hyped. I'm not gonna lie, that'd be pretty hype. So I'll see you on match number 5. Alrighty, we are here for the 5th and final match. We're doing a whole league. You know, we did well. We did well. I gotta show off my I don't want to potential trophies. You know, we gotta show some stuff off. We're up against Troy GG, and we're looking, you know, at a pretty damn good hand. Like, obviously, there's some bad things. So I was actually considering this hand a while. What should we bottom? I was like, you know, I think it's the Springleaf Drum. We have our mana set out. We'll be okay. And then I thought about it. I'm like, why the hell am I not keeping the Springleaf Drum? It's essentially a mana source, and it ramps us. Like, why, like, and if I draw another, like, basic planes, like, how shitty is this hand? Like, it helps with Pure Steel Paladin hitting Metalcraft. Like, it's so bad to keep this to keep the forest over, or not the forest, the plains over the Springleaf Drum. So I put that on the bottom. But I was considering it, but that was just so wrong in many ways. Rogren, Triome, Spooky, and then we get super rewarded. We get a Memnite. Yay. So good. Like, fantastic. Play out our Springleaf Drum first, because I think that's always what you should do. And Memnite, you know, we splurge on the board here. We do our good old, our impression of just like putting everything on the board here. So, say go, you know, Rogger and Triumph, sometimes I feel like that means that, you know, we're up against Ren and 6 deck, they play Mystic Gate, whatever, cool with me, like, whatever. We're not terribly afraid of that. Ornithopter, not the best draw in the world, but I kind of wanted to sandbag it here a little bit because, you know, we do have cards like, you know, Verdict. Again, we're up against, it seems like another control deck, right? Kind of want to keep our stuff in our hand here for like the rebuild. Can allow us to buy Lurrus next turn if we want. So I kind of wanted to sandbag it here. Just pretty good. You know, essentially this Ornithopter represents a land drop if they do Verdict us, which is kind of interesting to think about. So that's why I kept it in my hands. No reason. I mean, like, it's not even changing the clock here. Actually no reason to play it out. So they play a Flooded Strand, which obviously not the scariest thing in the world. Springleaf Drum. I end up playing this one out, which then I don't know. I don't know if I should play it out or not, if I should have played it out. But I decided to play it out because, as I said, it is mana ramp. But I think I should have just, like, not attached the Memnite. Because, like, what I end up doing here is I go Springleaf Drum, Ornithopter here. But I believe we should have just held back here. Because, you know, as we were playing around a Verdict, this still plays around a Verdict pretty well, right? We get to draw a card if they Verdict. If we find a Memnite, a Ornithopter, a land... we just get to, you know, we get to go Lurrus, Esper Sentinel, which is pretty good. So, like, I think that was my thought process. I'm not sure. I think we should have just, like, attacked them for 2 instead of 3. We get 1 less point of damage. It's not terribly relevant, but we guarantee that, like, essentially a land drop, as we said, which is what Ornithopter represents. We draw the land drop anyway, so it feels good. And we just go Lurrus plus, you know, Esper Sentinel here, easiest play of our life. Maybe you want to go Memnite for whatever reason and play the Indigenous Smith, but I kind of want to play around a Verdict here again, and like I think this is the best play against a Verdict. Kind of allows us to draw a card again if they do Verdict. Can't let them, if they play like a Teferi, like that'd be fine. We get to draw a card again, but I think this is the best play. We kind of just want to play around Verdict again, which. I mean, they just charmed. This was the weirdest play. They charmed our Esper Sentinel. Like, what the hell? Like, that just doesn't seem right, right? That just can't be right. I don't know. I thought that was weird. We play the Indigenous Smith, which is our boy. I didn't know how to tap here. I didn't know if I wanted to keep Inkmoth Nexus up or not, but I don't think we were. There weren't really many Inkmoth Nexus kills. Find a Colossus Hammer, which I just like. As you can tell, I'm playing so fast, like, that was the draw. Allows us to play this Colossus Hammer. Allows us to pay for the Esper Sentinel that they have. That was ours. And funnily enough, that 1 point of damage is kind of coming in clutch here, right? Because now it forces them to chump block with this Esper Sentinel. So, like, maybe the attack was wrong, but, like, I mean, the point mattered, I guess. Kind of. Not really, but we can say it mattered. And, like, now we're even, like, good against the Verdict. Like, we have Memnite in our hand. We have Pure Steel Paladin. We have a way to kill them with Inkmoth Nexus. I obviously was tanking here. I shouldn't cast this Memnite in a million years. Just can't be right. And then I believe they just, I mean, I don't know if they could come back from the situation. Let's see what they do here. You know, they have 5 mana. What harmful thing can you do, opponents? Teferi Hero Dominaria. Sure, like, thumbs up, buddy. And I mean, we just draw a hammer, like, as if we needed it, right? We didn't really need it, but yeah. I mean, they were so dead regardless, but we got a hammer, so yay, we're so good. Same sideboard plan, Thought Seizes. I think I brought in the Prismatic Endings because I think I was scared of Ren and 6 for some stupid reason. So I think this is still fine. I'm not actually sure if I even brought him in. Again, we do the Ornithopter trim, the Springleaf Drum trim, and I think I might just end up taking out the Prismatic Endings. I don't know if these are even right or wrong. They probably are just so wrong. Well, maybe I kept them. I don't know. I think this is incorrect sideboarding plan here. I'm definitely, as I said, this is my first time playing with this deck, first league playing with the deck. So I'm a little bit sketched about it, but, it is what it is. Our hand looks cracked. We have, Plains, Sigardazade, Creature, Colossus Hammer, combo. That's what we're going to call it. Yeah, this hand is good. They mulligan to 5. So a little bit of confidence going into this game. I'm feeling damn good. They're on 5. We're on, 7 with what I would say is a very, very, very respectable 7. We draw Stoneforge Mystics, which represents another Colossus Hammer. So I feel fantastic about this game. I'm like, how the hell do I lose this game? We get to play, I guess on our average of 3 spells on turn 1, which feels cool. I've never really played these styles of decks, really. Like these, affinity styles. I don't even know if, is this Infect, Affinity? I don't know what to call this, but I haven't really played something like this. And it feels kind of cool just to be like, here's my shit. Like, deal with it. Like, it's just kind of fun. And then they spreading seas us, which honestly is very bad. Like, we don't draw White Source, so I tap that just to be sure. I'm like, this does work, right? So I just hammer up my Mem Knight because I don't think waiting for this Inkmoth Nexus is a realistic option. It could be, but I think just slamming hammer and like, okay, if you don't have an answer, I win. But maybe this is wrong because they're on 5 and just waiting a turn could be okay. Like, if I draw a land, you're dead. But like at that point, I think I'd rather just be like, you're dead with my Mem Knight. So I don't really know. I feel like I made the right play. We draw another Stoneforge Mystic, which feels pretty shitty. They this felt good though. They tap it. I love that play. I'm like, all right, count me in. Count me in. We are okay here. I probably should have got in for one with the Inkmoth Nexus, but I don't even know. Maybe it's right, maybe it's wrong. Who knows? Maybe playing it. I don't think the one infect's gonna matter. If they had like a bolt for some reason, that could be pretty shitty for us. So I don't think so. I mean, it wouldn't really be that big of a deal because, like, as I said, and like as you all can tell, our hand really isn't mana intensive. In that sense, we need a white source here. We don't really need a colorless source. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but it is what it is. They just play a tapped land, which feels good. Feeling good. Prismatic Ending. Again, I think that's fine. Like, it already got in for 11. It's okay. And then, what do they do here? I remember thinking this was a weird play. What did they do? I think they Prismatic Ending our Colossus Hammer. Yeah. I thought that was really bizarre. Because I think the common consensus is there are more ways to find a hammer than there are Sigardazades, so you might as well have killed the Sigardazade, right? Like, there are 4 Stoneforge Mystics, there are 4 hammers, there are 4 Urza Sagas, there are a bunch of Indigenous Smiths. Like, I think the consensus is you just kind of got to do that. And then they play Nahiri, and as you all can tell, we get the sweet 5-0. As long as we're not dumb. We Colossus Hammer in response. They have 1 card in hand. There's nothing they can do. First league with this deck. Who knew this deck was good, right? I didn't know it was good. Just kidding. Of course this deck's good. It's the best deck in the format for a reason. So yeah, that felt fantastic. So I will see you in the outro. For the outro, really what I'm doing is, this is a deck everyone knows about, and really for this outro, I just wanted to say thank you all for watching, and I'm not really going to do an intro or outro for this video. I know this is a little bit of an outro, it's just going to be thank you for watching, blah, blah, blah. Just tell me if you like it. I don't know. I always feel like it's a little redundant to talk about the deck. If you're looking up the deck, you probably know about the deck. Like, if you want the explanations about what I'm doing, I will continue to do it. I'm fine doing it. but I am also kind of understanding that sometimes people don't really care. Like I understand sometimes when I'm watching someone else, I just skip right to the gameplay. I don't really care about the intro. Like whatever. I know what I'm clicking on this deck. I really know what's going on. I'm not playing anything really crazy off the wall. This is like tier 1 known deck. So thank you all for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Colossus Hammer. I was excited that you guys loved my burn video. Was shocked because I normally only play mid-range decks, and I was kind of afraid to bring it out, but you guys supported a lot of views. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm gonna start playing some other stuff just because I do get bored with mid-range every once in a while. It is my favorite thing to do. But yeah, and again, thank you for the 170 subs. That's pretty awesome. I think we hit that 2 days ago or something. So that was pretty awesome. So I just want to say thank you all and have a good one. See you in the next one.